everyone. Alright, today we're going to have a look at how to play one of my all-time favorite melodic guitar solos by probably my favorite guitarist of all time, Gary Moore. This tutorial is going to be part one of a, for now, 5-part tutorial series where we have a look at the solos to 5 of Gary Moore's most popular and memorable tracks. This is by no means, in my opinion, the 5 best Gary Moore solos. These are just solos from the songs that Gary Moore was most well known for. I simply went on Spotify, found the Gary Moore tracks with the most hits, and thought to myself, I'm going to learn all those solos and maybe I'll do tutorials for them. Now, there are loads of tutorials and tabs out there already for this one, Still Got the Blues. That'll show you all the notes and whatnot, but very few, if any of them, touch upon what are the cornerstones of what makes this solo really shine. Gary's fantastic vibrato and the little nuances within his playing. So aside from showing you how to play it, very accurately mind you, we'll be paying special attention to these nuances and to his use of vibrato, because without them, and aside from the solo's beautiful melodies, you're simply playing notes and not getting into the heart and soul of what Gary put down here. That said, in my performance of this one, which you can find down below in the description box, I failed to nail a few of those lovely vibrato touches at the beginning of the solo, but overall I think it was a good performance, so I decided to go with it. We're going to be doing both solos here. The shorter main solo, which is sadly the only one you'll hear in the radio edit of this track, and then the longer, more glorious and outstanding outro solo, which clocks in at well over 2 minutes of guitar soloing goodness. So let's close in here a little bit and get at this. Alright, let's have a look at how to play both solos to Still Got the Blues by the late great Gary Moore. We are in standard tuning, and the key to this solo is A minor, and we are going to be soloing predominantly in the A natural minor scale, or the Aeolian mode. And he dips into the pentatonic, does some nice pentatonic licks in this one as well. And so we are going to have a look at the first solo. Well, we're going to have a look at it first. We're in the neck position for the first solo and for the first part of the outro solo as well. And there's 3 little key phrases that are going to be repeated a number of times with slight variations to them here and there. And those little 3 key phrases are this: 14 on the G, down to 15 on the B, up to 17 on the B for a half-step bend. That's the first little key phrase. The second one, 12 on the G, down to 13 on the B, up to 15 on the B for a full step bend. And the third little key phrase is 10, 12, 13 to a full step bend on the B. And we are going to be repeating those 3 little licks a number of times with variations, and some with vibrato, some without, and little changes here and there. So this is the first solo, and this is how it starts. So we're going to play that first little phrase. 1 bend, back to the natural note, and then back to 15. And then to the second phrase. And now this bend has vibrato. The first one didn't, but this one does. And then a single bend, release back to 13, and then into the third phrase. 10, 12, 13. And that bend has vibrato, and that's a full step bend. And then bend and release back to 12, and then into this. So that is grab 10 of the B, grab 12 of the G, give it a full step bend, and then hit 10 of the B again. 12, half step bend, no vibrato, slide out. So let's run through. That is the first half of the first solo. No vibrato. Vibrato on that bend. Vibrato on that bend. No vibrato, just a half step bend and then slide out. Most notes that are not being bent, and if he's on them for any length of time whatsoever, he's adding vibrato. Like those, right? And then the bend gets no vibrato. And one more time through that first half of that solo. Vibrato. And now we're into the second half of the solo. Back to this again. And this time, this bend at 17 does have vibrato, and then the next two bends will not have vibrato. And then into this, we're going to grab 15 of the, after the bend, we're going to grab 15 of the high E, and then a bend of 15 of the B, and then into the second phrase again. And again, this time, no vibrato. And then you're going to grab 13 of the high E, a little bend release of 15 of the B back to 13, and then the third phrase, no vibrato. And then you're going to release it back to 10, a little double pump of that 13th fret again, with vibrato. And then finishing with that very quick little lick, 10 of the high E, pulling off 13 to 10 of the B. And you're going to want to upstroke those, like almost like a little mini sweep to fit it all in there, because it's very quick. And then we're into this very, very fast little lick, little pentatonic lick that he does up here at the 17th fret position of the A minor. But it starts with a big bend, a little full, or a big full step bend of what is that, 20? And then he releases it and then gives it a little half step bend. And then into this. And finishes up with vibrato. And this is a very nice pentatonic lick. So after the bend, little half step bend. Slowly. And that's it. So let's have a run through the entire solo, and then we'll dig into the second solo. And that is how you play the first solo. So now we're going to have a look at the longer, much longer actually, outro solo, and it starts very much the same way. So it starts the same way, And then, but no vibrato on the bend. Little double hit. Back to 13. And then this is very staccato. Something a little bit different. And then release back to 12. And then you're going to go 10, 12. Now, I've listened to this very, very closely, and I still can't get it. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure he's, that little phrase there, he's actually sliding from note to note and not bending. For the longest time, I was bending that note. And adding vibrato to each one. But I actually think he's sliding. I don't hear a bend. I'm hearing a slide and adding a ton of vibrato. Pick and then slide. But you can play it both ways. It sounds great. It's just hard, the bends, to get the vibrato exact every time. And now we're back into the main lick again. And you're going to let this note, this bend this time, you're going to let it ring out right to the almost the very end before you pull off to 13. And then you're going to go down to that note again at 13. And then the third phrase again. Back to 12, and then we're into this, which is something we've already done. 10, bend 12, back to 10. This time we're going to dig into that little position a little bit more. Basically that. You're going to bend, hit the 10 twice, I think 5 times. Just like that. And then we're going to slide into 17 of the G, and then back into that again. So nice little slow bend of that 12th fret. And then sliding into 17 of the G, and then you're going to grab 15 and then 17 and then give that a nice half step bend with a ton of vibrato. And at this point you're going to switch down to your bridge pickup and give that a little double pump. And that little lick all in the, that little A natural minor box. Grabbing 15 of the high E. Right there in the A natural minor scale. And now a really fun little lick. And playing that at speed is tricky, and I've tried it in different positions, and I've slowed this little lick down to an absolute crawl at like 25% of regular speed. And this is what he's doing, and I'm pretty sure this is where he's doing it, and it's really hard to play. That's the lick. A little half step bend with your index. And then a full step bend at 13 and then release it back to 12. A little bit of legato work there. And and finishing up that whole little phrase on the 12th fret. But at speed, it's quick. I messed it up a little bit there. So let's take it up to that point from the beginning of the second solo. And now we're into this. Little hammer on 10 to 12, back to 10, and then back to 9. And up to 10, and then a pre-bend of 10, release it, and then grab 9 of the G. And then back to 5 of the G, full step bend, back to the natural note. And now we're into this. Grabbing the 3rd fret, bending that down to the root note, and then grabbing the open A. And then you're going to grab the 3rd fret of the A, and then full step bend release of the 5th fret of the A. And then we're into this cool little lick. Lovely little lick that. So it starts on 8, and start with your index finger and do this whole first little slidey bit with your index until you get to 12. So you're going to slide from 8 to 12, back to 10, back to 12. And then you're going to pull off from 15 to 12 back onto 15. And then you're going to do the same thing on the D string, but twice. And then pull off to one final note at the 12th fret of the D. Now you're going to get your middle fingers involved here, and you're going to go down to 14, down to 13 of the B, back to 14, and then slide into 16 of the G. One last time. And then we're into this. Just a little hammer on release from 14, 16 back to 14, and then back to 12. Sorry, you're not going back to 14, you're going directly from... Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Little hammer on release, back to 14, then back to 12. And then 14 down to 13 of the B. And then a nice big full step bend. Get your pinky down there on 15 of the high E. Another little bend release there at 15, back to the natural note. And now we're into this, another really nice little lick. So a nice slow bend at 13 of the B string. Up a full step. So So a nice little legato work here on the high E. That's basically it. And that last little lick repeats twice. Pulling off 12 to 10 and then grabbing 13 of the G. Through that lick one more time slow. And then we're into this. So we're on 9. Little hammer on release from 9 to 7 to 9 back to 7. And then 5, 4, 2. And then a quick slide right up to its octave at the 14th fret of the G. And that is the first half of the outro solo. So let's slowly run through that. So. And now we're into this. So we're coming out of that, and we're coming into a nice big full step bend at the 20th fret of the B string. And finishing with a big full step bend at 20 of the high E. That lick is very similar to the lick that ends the first solo. All pentatonic. The only thing you really have to be careful of here is the speed, for one, and these little rolls on the 19s. And getting all those little bends in there on the 19 of the G string. And now when you get to that 20th fret, there's a couple of, well, you have that up there, you're going to hit it a few times, and you're going to release it back to the natural note, and then we're into this. And where are we? We're coming out of the big bend, back to the natural note, little hammer on from 17 to 19. And then a little hammer on pull off from 17 to 19 back to 17. Grab 19 of the B and give it a full step bend. And then this. So there's 4 of those, those bends at the 20th fret, and then grabbing the note you're bending up to at the 17th fret of the high E. And then one final bend at 20 of the high E. Let's run through that lick one more time. Starting from when we release that bend back to the natural note. And now we're into this. And that's just going right up the pentatonic and grabbing the blue note. That one right there, a little off note there. And then again, rolling again on these 19s of the pentatonic. And then we're into this. And so that's just, you know, little blues licks here. Little Johnny B. Good type stuff. Bending 19, grabbing the 17 of the B, I think twice, and then he gets into the very classic blues lick. That one there with the little pull-offs from 20 back to 17. So I think he does that like 4 times. And then 2 more final ones just going back and forth between 17 and 19. Starts with 2. And then ends with 2, with 4 of these in the middle. And then we're going to get up to the 22nd fret of the high E and give it a nice big full step bend. And while you have it up there, you're going to hit it a few times for effect, and then you're going to release it back to the natural note. And then you're going to back it up to a 19 for a little half step bend. And then we're into this. That's the little half step bend. And then a scale run right up the pentatonic. One more time, or 2 more times. And again, being careful, a lot of rolling going on those notes there at the 19. But again, of course, much faster. And then we're back up to 20 of the high E for a nice big full step bend. You know, while you have it up there, you're going to hit it 4 or 5 times. And then we're finishing up the solo. Little pull-offs from 20 to 17. And then one more time. And then up to 22. Nice big full step bend with vibrato. And that is pretty much the end of the second solo. And then we get back into this for one final go around. And so back into this. Just the way we played it before. And then back to that again, the little bend at 12, back to 10. And now there's a little slight change. He does this. Backing up to a 9 of the G, up to 12 of the B. And then a full step bend release at 13 of the B. And then back into this again. That's it. Little hit 13 and then a pull off from 15 to 13. And then again. And then just release back to 12, back to 9, back to 5, big full step bend at 8. And as the song's fading out, right up the pentatonic. Kind of like that. As the solo's fading out. So let's run through that whole second solo.
And that is how you play both solos to Still Got the Blues by Gary Moore. Have fun with it. Some exercises for bending and certainly some exercises for speed. And so have fun with that and take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time. Cheers.